Hello, kangaroos! Welcome to Rue's Reviews. I am Rue. I will be covering the last in John Carpenter's Apocalypse trilogy, In the Mouth of Madness, 1994. I have already covered The Thing, 1982, and The Prince of Darkness, 1987. All these movies, the storylines do not connect. However, Prince of Darkness and In the Mouth of Madness have religious themes in them. This review will be different than any of my previous videos, due to this movie being heavily copyrighted. Instead of showing clips of the movie, I will show pictures and talk about the premise of the movie. I will of course tell facts and my thoughts on this. This movie has an interesting twist. Warning, there will be spoilers. John Carpenter took the inspiration from two authors for this movie, H.P. Lovecraft and Stephen King. Stephen King and John Carpenter are actually friends. The main protagonist is John Trent, who is played by Sam Neill. Do you recognize him? If you are a child of the 90s, which I am, then you know what movie I am referring to. That is Jurassic Park. Sam Neill will always be Dr. Alan Grant. Jurassic Park came out in 1993, as In the Mouth of Madness came out in 1994. In my opinion, I think Sam Neill is a good actor who can go to being with dinosaurs to a horror movie right after. Sam Neill plays John Trent, who is an insurance fraud inspector. In the beginning of the movie, we see him in the asylum. We, the viewers, have no idea how he got there. In the beginning, John says, "I am not crazy." If you listen in the beginning, you can hear other patients saying other things. There is a distinctive voice saying "me neither." That's actually John Carpenter saying that. This building they use for the insane asylum is actually an infiltration plant in the beaches area of Toronto, Canada. The other protagonist who plays opposite of Sam Neill is Julie Carmen. I admit I didn't recognize her, but maybe you have. Julie Carmen plays Linda Stiles. Linda Stiles is an editor for a publishing company. The boss of the publishing company is Jackson Harlow, who is played by Charlton Heston. You know Charlton Heston. He was in many movies and TV shows. Jackson wants John and Linda to go find their missing author, Sutter Kane. Sutter Kane is played by, I know I would pronounce his name wrong, so I won't even try. Of course, John and Linda do not know where to start. John later reads all of Kane's novels, then has an idea. John takes all the covers of all the novels to piece together a map to show a town called Hobbs End. John also has this recurring nightmare with a cop. Sound familiar? Like in The Prince of Darkness, throughout the whole movie, the nightmare becomes more horrifying. Here's your 90s scare. On the way to Hobbs End, crazy things happen only when Linda drives, then somehow ends up in Hobbs End while John is asleep. Hobbs End isn't something that is completely made up by John Carpenter. It is a nod to the 1967 movie Quatermass and the Pit. In this alien movie, the subway station is called Hobbs Lane. This church is in the Kane's novel, but it's an actual church which is called the Cathedral of Transfiguration in Ontario, Canada. You can actually visit this church in person. Sam and Julie thought it was a good idea to wear the same clothes in the beginning of the movie, and then only change again for the middle of the movie, only having two outfits. However, after a few days of wearing the same clothes, they hated the idea, but it was too late to change it. In the books is this church where John and Linda go to. Once there, there's all these cars and trucks that come up. A man gets out and, well, if you watched my previous video, which was on The Prince of Darkness, the swirl of green stuff in The Prince of Darkness, that it reminded me of Slimer from Ghostbusters. Oddly enough, the actor who plays Simon is another name I will not try to say. Do you recognize him? Do you know? If not, this actor plays the villain in Ghostbusters 2. Here at the church, we finally get to meet Sutter Kane. Kane releases the hounds, Dobermans that is. During the scenes with the dog's handler got serious bites. Actually, there was supposed to be a scene where we see a three-legged dog running in the field. However, the three-legged dog escaped, and the time they caught it, it was just too late to film another dog in its place. John and Linda go to the hotel, and there is this strange painting that changes throughout the movie. I have a theory on the painting. I want to state that this is my own opinion, why the painting changes. I think it's a warning to the characters and even the audience that this town and the people in it aren't as they appear, and they should leave the town. If you saw this movie, let me know your thoughts on the painting in the comments below. The lady who runs the hotel is Mrs. Pickman. Mrs. Pickman is played by Frances Bay. Do you recognize her? If not, you may remember her from the 1996 movie Happy Gilmore. She played Happy's grandma. Or maybe you remember her from Seinfeld, when Jerry steals her bread. She's an actress who played in many TV shows and movies. In the movie, John states that in the Kane books, Mrs. Pickman murders her husband, but he can't believe this because she is a sweet old lady. Till later in the movie, John goes to the basement and sees her almost dead husband calling for help, and her as a monster. The scene with Mrs. Pickman as a monster was shot as a miniature. At first, John Carpenter had a man in a prosthetic suit, but he didn't think it was convincing enough. After John sees Mrs. Pickman, he leaves the hotel and goes to the bar. He goes there because this whole time, John doesn't think this is real. He thinks it's some sort of publicity stunt for Kane's new novel, which we do find out in the movie from Linda. They did plan something like that, but Kane never showed up. Linda tries to convince John this is real. In the beginning of the movie, we see John in the insane asylum. There is one scene where John imagines a hand going through the window in the door. A piece of glass actually cuts Sam's eye. He was very mad that happened. Which brings me back to the bar where John meets up with Simon. John stands up, then smashes the empty mug of beer he was drinking. Sam did this as revenge for getting cut earlier, like I just mentioned before. Simon tells John he needs to leave now, then takes the shotgun and points it at himself. John tells him no, but Simon says, "I have to because I was written that way." Then you know what happens next. After that, John runs out and gets in the car. When he leaves, he meets up with Linda outside of the town, in the road, but she looks like this. In these scenes, they use a contortionist stunt double. The stunt double wore a prosthetic mask upside down. She couldn't see, so they had to guide her by sound. After that, John leaves Linda but ends up in the town over and over, till he sees Linda all right. He crashes the car. Where do you think he ends up? Did you guess? The church. Always the church. At the church, he meets up with Stutter Kane. Stutter Kane hands him a book. The book is called In the Mouth of Madness. In fact, all throughout the movie, the title shows up a lot. It may show up like on a mug, for example. Details all over the movie for the title. Remember in The Thing and Prince of Darkness, I said there is slimy, gross visuals? Here it is, The Door. At this point in the movie, they were over budget. To shrink the budget from $15 million to $10 million, writer Michael De Luca came up with the Kane ripping himself and turning into a page out of a book, which I think was very clever. John goes through a tunnel. This tunnel is actually called the Wall of Monsters. All the monsters are not controlled individually, but in fact they are attached to a wheelbase vehicle that had to be pushed along with a crank. The special makeup effects done by Greg Nictorio got his foot ran over by this contraption and had to be taken to the hospital. The tunnel leads John to the real world. John walks a little bit and then gets on a bus to get back home. When having a dream or a nightmare, he sees Kane. Kane states that his favorite color is blue. Then when John wakes up, everything is blue. If you go back and watch the movie closely, every time there is a close-up of a character's faces, their eyes are blue, proving Kane's power throughout the movie. John goes back to the agency to be told that he didn't go to Hobbs End with Linda because she didn't exist, that he already gave the manuscript to Jackson, And if that couldn't be worse, there is a movie coming out about the book. It's been said those who read Keene's books go insane. That being said, the movie would really make more people go insane as well. Not knowing what's real anymore, John goes insane, which leads us back to the beginning of the movie where he is in the insane asylum. When locked up, an event happens. As the viewer, we are not sure what, but John is able to leave. Once he gets to the movie, there is a poster. Unfortunately, I couldn't find a pic of it. On this poster, it has all the people who worked on the movie, except John and Linda are just that, and not the actors who played them. The end is very interesting. We see John go to the movie, only to see the movie is his story of what the audience have already seen. Is John real? Was any of it real? Or are we all in our own movie with someone else writing it? This movie surprised me, since I didn't really like The Prince of Darkness. However, I enjoyed In the Mouth of Madness. It's not scary, but more thought-provoking. Rating: 1 being why did I waste my time, to 5 must see again. I give In the Mouth of Madness 1994 a 3. Thank you for watching my review on In the Mouth of Madness 1994. That concludes the John Carpenter's Apocalypse trilogy. If you liked my review, please think about becoming a subscriber and leave me a like. I will see you kangaroos next time.